I am not a smarter person because I left Christianity, but I sure have learned a lot. Hi, welcome to the Doubter's Diary. I'm Laurentia. I was in the church for many decades before I got out. So welcome today. Like I said, we're going to be talking about 8 things that I learned once I got out of Christianity. Yes, I have an eye patch on. I had a little procedure done, so I need this on for a couple of days. So you may see it in the video or two, but I'll be back to normal soon. So, like I said, we're going to talk about the things that I learned when I got out of Christianity. Now, if you're a Christian and you're watching and you think this is all going to be bashing Christians, you're wrong. The last 2 points I have are actually very complimentary towards Christians and towards the church. So stay tuned for that. Please like and subscribe. Thanks so much. So, on to number 1. Here's the first thing I learned when I came out of Christianity, and it was shocking for me to learn this. I learned that I am not oppressed because I was a Christian. I was never oppressed. It was all in my brain. I grew up in a small fundamentalist church where it was us against them. That's what I was taught. I was taught that the world hated us, that we would be oppressed, marginalized, a victim, and that you should be proud of that. But this was incorrect. I learned that it's actually the opposite. Something like 75% of Americans, and when I was a kid, it was even higher than that. I bet it was close to 90% believed in God, and mostly the God of the Bible, no matter if you were Catholic or Protestant. But I didn't know that. They made you feel like you're the only ones. Of course, in the little fundamentalist church, you're pretty much the only ones going to heaven. Your Presbyterian friends and Catholic friends, aren't going, they don't count. So, but what that did for me is not only did it make me feel like a victim, it also made me, oddly enough, ashamed. It made me ashamed. Oh, like I'm so different. And as a child, you just want to fit in. That's what you want to do. You want to fit in, but I felt like I didn't fit in. And come to find out, now that I'm older and I'm on Facebook, I see that most of my friends from high school were Christians too, and they just never said anything. So I wasn't a good witness. Actually, I kind of hid the fact that I was a Christian. So I was never oppressed. And as an atheist, I'm going to say I have to fight that feeling of being oppressed because I do feel like I'm being oppressed. But the truth is, we do live in a country where you can be anything you want. I'm not dragged out to the square and killed because I'm an atheist. So I'm not a victim. And I am on YouTube talking about whatever I want to talk about. So I do appreciate that about our culture. Not that there's not ramifications for what you say. If you look at my comment section, you'll see that I'm called everything from horrible and disgusting looking to brain damage to I'm going to hell. You name it, they say it, but I'm still not oppressed. The second thing I learned when I left Christianity was that it was never God speaking to me. It was me speaking to me. Things that I thought were God were either coincidences or it was me speaking to me. I have told a little story about when I was a Christian and I had a baby and I gained a little weight. And I went to a Christian Weight Watchers program. It's called the Way Down Workshop. And it was done by Gwen Shamblin. If you don't know who she is, you should look her up. She was crazy. There's a Netflix special on her that you should watch, whether you're a Christian or an atheist or anything in between. But anyway, that's besides the point. So I went to this Gwen Shamblin Way Down Workshop. And I came home and I was hungry. I was on my way home and I was hungry. So I drove, there's these things in Florida called crystals. And they're like little sliders. They sell these little bitty sliders. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go home and I'm going to eat these before I get home. Went through the drive-thru, all out. They didn't have any. And what did I think? Oh my heavens, God was making them run out of hamburgers. And I felt like, because I felt guilty as I was doing it, because I knew I needed to lose a few pounds, I thought, see, God was telling me not to go through that drive-thru. I went and looked at it, wasn't there. So he was speaking to me and he saved me from that. I mean, But what never dawned on me is that literally 5 miles away in a town over, there's a children's hospital where there are children dying of cancer. And yes, God was worried about the 10 pounds that I needed to lose and win Shamblin's Way Down workshop. I mean, it's ludicrous. I was speaking to me. I felt guilty. And God did not make them run out of hamburgers so that I would not gain a few pounds. Stupid, ludicrous. The third thing I found out, which was surprising to me, is that good things happen now. Good things happen to me then. Bad things happened to me when I was a Christian, and bad things happen to me now. I see zero difference in the amount of good and bad that happens to me. When I was a Christian, I was taking my kids to a Bible camp, and it was out in the middle of nowhere. And we broke down in front of my husband wasn't with me. I was alone with my 2 small children, miles away from this camp in the mountains. And I broke down in front of a farm, and the sign said, "Do not come on this land. There's diseased chicken coop." So I couldn't even walk up to the farmhouse to try and get help. And I was out there alone. A cop finally did come by after hours. A cop came by and he said, okay, I will, call a tow truck for you, but I can't help you. It's against the rules for me to take you to where you need to be. So I started crying like I would. It was just, had these 2 little babies. I was going to have to walk miles with them. And so wouldn't you know it, at that moment, my pastor from the church that I go to that was 100 miles away shows up at that time. Believe it or not, she picked me up. This was a Methodist church, so we had pastor. She was the associate pastor. She picked me up. She got me where I needed to be. She had me spend the night with her and a friend in the mountains, and she took me home the next day. And I thought, God is amazing. Look what how good is that? Oh my gosh, right? Good things happen to me. I didn't think about the bad thing. I mean, like, why did God have to have my car break down right there and not at the camp or something? But in any event. But what I have found is since I've become an atheist, these same things still happen to me. Good things still happening, bad and good. When I became an atheist, I sold my house that I lived on the water. I had a huge house on the water, and I sold that for an immense profit. And then I bought another rental property, and I sold that for an immense profit just at the right time. Wasn't me. I don't know that much about real estate. And then I happened to buy another townhouse at the same time, and now it's doubled, right, in price. So good and bad and good, all the same. Since I've left Christianity, I no longer have gullible certainty. I am okay now with saying I don't know, and that involves everything. I don't have to feel like I know it all, that I know about evolution, and I know everything about geology and history. When you're a Christian, to defend the Bible, you feel like you have to know all that stuff, even if a lot of it or most of it is completely incorrect and does not jive with the science that we know. It's so freeing to be able to say, I don't know. If someone asks me, where does the universe come from? I love that. This is what Christians say. Where did all of this come from if there wasn't a God? I don't know. I don't know. The best minds in the world don't really know. And I'm completely comfortable with saying that. But a Christian, when I was a Christian, I was never comfortable saying that. You have to say God. And when someone asks you where God comes from, you make up these wild things that you don't even know. You say, oh, he's outside of space and time, even though you don't even know what that means. You don't even know what those words mean, and you can't explain it. But it's gullible certainty. No, thank you anymore. I don't know. The other thing that I discovered when I left Christianity is that I believe that all Christian leaders, they are either liars, they are lunatics, or they're not very smart. That would be every leader that knows anything about the Bible. Now, if you have been not living under a rock, you have seen how many very large Christian leaders we're talking about Pat Robertson and Jimmy Swaggart and all these, right? How many of them have scandals? Really, almost all of them. And they're raking in millions of dollars. I don't think any of them believe anything they're saying. I think they're all liars. I don't think any of them believe a word that's coming out of their mouth. And you might say, oh, but my pastor, my local pastor's different. If he's read the Bible and he has even an average intelligence and he is not twisting himself into a pretzel to explain things, he is either lying to himself, he's lying to you, he's not thinking straight, or he is not very smart. That's what I have come to, that you can't be very smart and actually really know the Bible, and really think that it's true. I'm going to say that I would say that 99% of lay people don't know the Bible. I thought I knew the Bible. I thought I knew the Bible backwards and forwards. And it turns out, so I guess this might even actually be like a B point or something. I didn't know the Bible, but a pastor should. And if they don't, I don't even know what to say about that. I don't think they do. Number 6, when I got out of Christianity, I realized, and it took me a long time, that I was and still am to some degree a codependent. It made me rely on others for my self-esteem. I was codependent on that. Remember, you have to have the servant's heart. You come last, especially as a female. And I didn't know that. I thought I was such an amazing person because everyone else came first. Everybody. And my happiness was dependent on that. My happiness was not dependent on what made me happy. It was dependent on if other people were happy. And I would try and control that. As long as other people felt happy, then I felt happy. And that is complete codependency. And I realized that being a Christian made me that way. And I think that I'm not the only one. I think there's so many people that are people pleasers and codependents in the Christian realm that it's insane. And I am now still trying to dig my way out of that. Okay, my last 2 points are actually complementary to Christians. I am going to say this, that most Christians that I have interacted with throughout my entire life are far more gracious than their theology. If you look at Christian theology as a whole, it's not very gracious, is it? I have another video where I talk about, and I'll link that above, how many people in the totality that have ever lived have probably been sent to hell according to Christian theology, and it's most of them. Now, that is an ungracious theology if I've ever heard it, but I believe most Christians are good-hearted. I really do. Of course, you're going to run into the random asshole. There's random assholes that are atheists and Christians. I don't think that has anything to do with your religion, if you want to know the truth, even though it's really easy to demonize or dehumanize the other side and think that all atheists are assholes or all Christians are. That's not the truth. Most Christians are so much more gracious than their theology, and I appreciate it. Although, again, if you look at my comments, I do seem to draw a lot of the more assholey ones, but that's because the gracious ones probably just move along. And you know what? I have had several people that say they're praying for me and they feel sorry for me. That's fine. That's cool. I'm cool with that. The last thing is that, and this is just a plus for Christians, is nobody does community like they do. They are the very best. There is no such thing as an atheist counterpart to what these people can do when they come together. And I do appreciate that. I miss it every day. There are many Christian organizations do a world of good. I'm not going to dispute that. I never will. I believe that with my whole heart. I was part of that at one time. And you will find very few people that come out of Christianity, especially if they were in it for as long as I was, that don't miss that. They miss it every single day. It gets better. I've gotten involved with other things, but there's nothing like knowing that if you have something happen to you or one of your family members, you're going to be taken care of. No ifs, ands, or buts. They will take care of you. So that is one thing that they do really well. I learned that when I got out of Christianity, though. I didn't know how good I had it when I was in the church because I always had it. And then once you don't have it, wow, how do you replace that? I've never been able to replace that. So let me know in the comments if you're a former Christian and you think what I think about that Christians do the community thing very well. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know how much I appreciate you. Like and subscribe. I will be having memberships come out. I'll talk more about that in some other videos. So just look in the description for that. So thanks again. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.